Good morning. I wanted to make a video about your practice quiz, just going through the answers, something a little beyond just the key that's on my front desk, just so you can actually see how I got the answers in case you're confused about any of them. I do have kind of a little cheat sheet here. The diatomic elements, those are Brinkelhoff as we call them in class. If you have any of the elements that are currently in Brinkelhoff, not currently, that are in Brinkelhoff all the time, they do get 2s after them, but they're just named like their elements. If you have anything that has a transition metal, remember tin and lead are included in those transition metals. Those are going to get Roman numerals when they get named. If you have something that does not live with the transition metals, is not tin or lead, you're not going to get Roman numerals there. And then if you have 2 nonmetals in your compound, with 2 nonmetals, those are the ones that you use prefixes with. The prefixes tell how many are actually there, so on those you're not going to swap and drop. And then finally, sorry, this is not working very well. I have my acid compounds. Acids are going to start with hydrogen. That's actually hydrogen ions, so it's going to have a +1 charge. When you name them, they're going to be paired up with an anion. Your anions will end with "ide", like sulfide, chloride, iodide. Those get hydro, and then "ic", acid. 8 is just "ic", no hydro. And then ite, I-T-E, is O-U-S. And as we said in class, I ate something icky. Sprite is delicious, if that's helpful to you to remember it. Looking at your periodic table, you do have some charges that are always the same. If you have anything in group 1, it's always +1. Group 2 is always +2. Group 13 down here is always +3. Your Roman numerals have different numbers of valence electrons, so those are going to change. So those get Roman numerals depending on what the charge is of your metal. And then we do include tin and lead in those Roman numerals as well. And then your nonmetals over here, they have a -4, -3, -2, and -1 charge in an ionic compound. In a covalent compound, we don't care about those charges because they're sharing electrons. They're not actually transferring electrons from one to another. So getting over here to your quiz, bromine is Br. Bromine is in Brinkelhoff, so it gets a 2 after it, even though it's just named bromine. Magnesium lives in group number 2 on your periodic table, so it's Mg +2. Chloride is chlorine, which has a -1. So we have a +2 and a -1. We're going to swap and drop MgCl2. S and O, sulfur and oxygen, those are both nonmetals. So those are going to get prefixes to tell how many there are present. Sulfur, there's only one of them. We cannot put a prefix on that though because it is first. O is oxygen. That's going to change to oxide. Tetra is 4. So it's tetra oxide, 4 oxygen. TiS2. Ti is titanium. Titanium is a transition metal, so it's going to get Roman numerals. Sulfur changes to sulfide. So then we need to figure out my charge. So we said we can try to reverse swap and drop, where we're going to bring this 1, it's a ghost right now, over here to be -1. The 2 we're going to be over here, bring over there to be +2. We're going to have to check the charge of sulfur on our periodic table though. Sulfur actually has a -2 charge, not -1. So that means that they reduced this one down. So I have to do this one the long way. I have 1 titanium, 2 sulfurs. Sulfur has a -2 charge, and there's 2 of them, so that gives me a total of -4 charge on that side. That means titanium has to be +4 to equal 0, so I have titanium 4 sulfide. Strontium is Sr. It lives in group 2, so it has a +2 charge. Permanganate, Ate, is a polyatomic ion, MnO4 -1. So we're going to swap and drop here, Sr, MnO4, 2. Zinc 2 phosphide. Zinc has a +2 charge. That's what this tells me right here. Phosphide is phosphorus. Phosphorus has a -3. We're going to swap and drop on this one, so Zn3P2. Hydrofluoric acid. Let me move this up just a little bit, sorry. Hydrofluoric acid, hydro means this used to be ide. Acid means that it starts with hydrogen. Fluoride is fluorine from the periodic table. It has a -1. So we're going to swap and drop here. So this one is just HF. Carbonic acid does not have hydro at the beginning. So because it doesn't have hydro at the beginning, this used to be ate. I ate something icky. So carbonic, sorry. Acid, again, means that it has hydrogen ions. Carbonate is CO3 minus 2. So when we swap and drop here, it's H2CO3. K is potassium. OH, everything after your potassium is a polyatomic ion. So OH is hydroxide. Nothing special to do with that one because potassium lives in group 1. SN is tin. Tin is not a transition metal, but we treat it like one. I is iodine, so that's going to become iodide. So we need to figure out the charge, so we're going to reverse swap and drop. +4 minus 1. Iodine on the periodic table does have a -1 charge, so that means that the reverse swap and drop worked. So you have tin 4 iodide. NiPO4, Ni is nickel. Nickel is a transition metal as well, so it's going to get Roman numerals. PO4 is phosphate. So we need to figure out the charge of nickel. Phosphate, PO4, there's one of them. So that gives us a +1 charge when we reverse the swap and drop. And then nickel would be -1 because there's just one of each. However, phosphate is not -1, it's actually -3. So phosphate's -3, nickel's +3 to equal 0. Hexa, I see a prefix, that means it's covalent. On your covalent compounds, they tell how many are there. So iodine is I6. Mono is 1. Sulfur, so you just have S. You can put the 1 there if you want to, but I don't because it's not necessary. Sc is scandium. Scandium, again, is a transition metal, so it's going to get Roman numerals. Cl is chloride. So now I need to figure out my charge. So the 3 is going to come over here to be +3. The ghost number 1 comes over here to be -1. Chlorine does have a -1 charge, so it's scandium 3 chloride. CaSO4. Ca is calcium. SO4 is sulfate. So there's nothing special that you need to do here. Just name your cation and name your anion. Dinitrogen triiodide. So dinitrogen is N2, 2 nitrogen. Triiodide, that means that there's 3 iodine, so I3. Cl2, that's chlorine. Chlorine is in Brinkelhoff, which is why it has the 2 here. It's diatomic. You don't do anything special with the name. It's just named like the element. Gold 2. Oh, I missed one. Sorry. ClO3 for your H. H means that it's an acid. ClO3 is chlorate. So the 8 becomes ic. So this is called chloric acid. Now my gold 2 oxide. So you have Au plus 2. Oxide is O, -2. So when we swap and drop here, the 2's go away. AuO. Cr is chromium. Chromium is a transition metal, so it's going to get Roman numerals. C2H3O2 is acetate. Acetate has a -1 charge. So if acetate is -1, this has to be +1 to equal 0. And then lithium nitride. Lithium is +1. Nitride is nitrogen. Nitrogen has a -3. So when I swap and drop here, it's Li3N. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys still need help on naming and writing formulas, I do have all the videos in my YouTube channel. And with all of those videos, you'll be able to go to which video you want. So are you struggling with transition metals? Are you struggling with acids? Are you struggling with covalents? There are different videos for each one of them. And they're all listed by title on your instruction sheet, which is on the front of the practice quiz. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll be around email in and out today, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day and happy Halloween.